I think of the Libertines as being me, Carl, Gary and John, and that being the ultimate combination of magic, then I'm fucked, you know. For me, I can only think of it as one of the very few opportunities I've had in my life to pretty much perfectly express myself.
People say put aside your differences. Our differences are our relationship. Can't really put that aside. I miss him bitterly, but such is the nature of both of our relationships. I can't choose when I'm going to get Peter I need.
People might say, is there another record in the offing?
Well, that's normal, and we expect that, we
normal.
want that. We just roughly want to stick on the subject. As long as they're happy, we're happy.
Yeah.
They're looking at it like, you know, I don't want to waste any mood.
What we've said to all members of the band is that if they want to do things individually afterwards, then they're free to do it. And if they don't want to, then they're happy.
It's just an immature way of showing his love, I thought. Or maybe he just doesn't like my song. There it is again! Wow, look at that!
There's a gentleman down there with his hand up. Do you want to stand up maybe and give us a loud question?
Melvin Ben said there's been a lot of hard work to get you all back into the same room together.
It's a fucking nightmare. He lives in Denmark. He never answered his phone.
Get on a stage and say, we're the Libertines, and it be real, and we mean it, with two crooked fingers, heart-rending.
We've always communicated with each other successfully through music. That's how and why we're together. And sorry.
Cheers!
Cheers.
She's in voice.
You don't know who you're looking at, now just you look at me. I'm a bit of a knob, I am belong to royalty. I'll tell you how it got about, I married widow Birch. I was king of England when we trotted out to church. Outside the people started shouting if hooray. Said I go down upon your knees, it's coronation day. I'm Henry the Eighth, I am. Henry the Eighth, I am. I got married to the widow next door. She'd been married 7 times before. Everyone was a Henry. She wouldn't have a Willie or a Sam. I'm a race-old man named Henry. Henry the Eighth, I am.
It was nerve-wracking, but then I knew that what we had to do was easy, because what we had to do was ingrained in my body, and this is what we'd done so much before, what I was meant to do. It was all there, I was excited.
It's called a Smithies.
It's the next street up, Mead Street.
And it's the next street up from Field Street.
I missed the boys, I missed all the boys really. You know, I missed Pete dearly, and I look forward to that relationship which can only exist with us in that situation. If we don't, all 4 of us pace ourselves throughout these gigs, then it's going to be mental. Last night we can fucking let loose.
I hadn't actually seen the guys in the band for quite a few years, probably 2-3 years, let alone played music with them.
Everyone all right there, Gal?
Yeah, everything's cool.
Looking a little bit rough there, Gary.
Just feeling a little tired.
Yeah.
I was happier to see Pete, Carl and Jan, just to see them, than I was at that point in time to be considering performing shows.
Listen, I'll show my luck.
How dare you?
I didn't get right. Yeah.
$1 bill, yeah. $1 bill, yeah. Yeah, I bought them £4 each from this.
He's always been good with numbers.
Your first stop was the bucket shop to pick the pieces of your life up and scream looking glass at all that you despise. You're thinking back to the chicken shack and the smashing of the glass and the knife in the back. Well, my boy, who will believe your lies? All your lies. And no one's going to sell you any alibis.
You know, it was an immense occasion, and Carl bought a round of drinks.
Listen, I've told you once. If I've told you.
Say it to me, you fool.
Sorry, I can't hear anything.
No, it's me.
Who is it?
Me.
Oh, cool one. I knew you were the cool one. We both get equally nervous when we see each other after a long period of time. Pete will normally say something that's vaguely humorous, but usually just disguising some kind of barbed nastiness. I guess I'll try and say something that dampens it, but then I can't help myself but reciprocate a little bit as well. And then as soon as we manage to sort of temper the defensive nastiness out of it, then yeah, I guess we're back. It's a funny relationship, what can I say? We first met when I was at Brunel. I didn't do a great deal of studying, and I was best friends with his sister, Amy Jo. She had this brother who, a bit of a face back home in this small town, was sort of an aspiring poet, wanted to learn guitar.
I didn't really know anyone that was actually any good at guitar. Everyone just grew their hair like Liam Gallagher and started bands, but no one could actually do anything that was particularly interesting. And then when I met Carl, he was actually gifted on the guitars. I literally used to sit at his feet, and I was hungry for knowledge. I wanted to know how he did that, and how he did this.
The Dohertys have got a special gift for painting people in a very beautiful, if slightly not romanticised and exaggerated light. Pete summed me up as a self-educated working class from the estates, which, you know, each bit true in its own way, but you know, not many people would really sort of string those things together and, you know, use that to represent a person. So I found that quite charming. He'd asked if I could learn guitar part for this charming man and then teach him when he came up to visit. And I didn't know anything about the Smiths, so naturally I went and worked out Charmless Man by Blur.
Hi, man.
Started going, I'm a Tim in a crowded room. Oh God, this bloke hasn't even heard the Smiths. And he hadn't heard the Smiths, and he hadn't heard the Suede, but even that really quite attracted me to him as well, because he was just this who is he?
What I was nervous about was playing the songs wrong, because Pete was actually the taskmaster in the band. You know, he was like the Miles Davis character who, or James Brown, whoever it is, who got angry about that sort of thing. Wasn't happy about bum notes.
You playing cool?
Take a while. Okay, go on.
destruction, or how to slowly, sharply scrap myself to death.
489 Holloway Road. Yeah, it used to be a brothel that we used to live in. I cleaned it up a bit. To me, it would always be a hotbed of iniquity. People used to come and they used to phone up that phone box over there, and then they could look out the window to make sure they were safe. And then they come over, and then me and Pete used to have to sit in the bedroom and talk really gruff and loud. Like, mate, you're a fact, you're right, and we used to have this pathetic sort of pop gun. You know, if it ever came to it, we'd get out and... But never came to it. There you go. I used to sleep in a little bedroom at the top, on the middle window. I used to sleep in a big black iron cage. Things did get better. Yeah, it's funny because we're so totally surrounded by everything to do with the music industry. Didn't know anything about it. Apparently, like we're like enemy journalists downstairs and a photographer, and a metropolis next door. But I mean, I wouldn't know what any of that meant really. All we knew about was the comings and goings of the brothel trade.
It was always a certain thing would happen that would change everything. Like, I spent so many years behind barbed wire, and you know, literally regimented, that when I'd get a fleeting chance to experience just liberty, just being able to be myself and go where I wanted, when I wanted, I think I just stood up one day in class and walked out the class and just kept walking.
My whole life was a sort of romantic tapestry in the basements of the Albion rooms. Just us and our little sort of island of Bohemia in dreams.
We dug deeper in the end, and we just found this other London of vice and dope dens and parks and tramps, and we both were really desperate to get out of the only England we'd ever been presented with,
We'd always fall out quite a lot. It was usually sort of bickery stuff. I've always been quite cantankerous. It reached fever pitch when he was drinking a massive bottle of mineral water. At the time I found that very poncy, that he was like mineral water, but his parents had brought it from Germany, and he was drinking it, slagging me off, sort of like leaning against a cooker, and I remember I kicked it out of his mouth. And that's when he got really angry and upset, and then he phoned the police, and then the police came round, and they said, all right, what's going on here? And then we were like, well, I'm not talking. And they were like, well, I'm not talking to you either. And then they went, so what do you do? And I went, I'm an actor. And then they went to Peter, what do you do? He went, I'm a poet.
Look, check this out, mate. Look, hang on, wait a minute.
You've got an illuminated magnetic grabber.
Yeah, that purse. Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
Chainmail.
Motorways purse.
Presents for everyone.
I don't believe the dreams, and why not? I mean,
There it is.
all sort of stereotypes and cliches come from a kind of reality, which I think we were looking to sort of source, and they'll come true.
I'll get that from selected petrol stations. So it's for the forum, use it at the forum.
Oh, thanks, man. I remember like when we first played songs together, I think we were at Mortlake train station, and the first time I'd ever really played him, I think I played in this song I've written, which later became a song called The Domestic. Yeah, my original lyrics were, John Lennon came down to me today, which is fucking laughable, really, in hindsight. And, Pete very tactfully just presented something else.
Things that he was reading about in books and dipping his toe into the water, but not really expressing himself, just it sounds a bit daft, but just, you know, poetry and poetry being an expression of the soul and it not just being on the page, you know, as you're living your life, like following your dream.
I think I learned a lot from Pete about lyrics and songwriting and whatnot along the way, you know, as he did with me and playing the guitar, I suppose. I don't think I'll ever have a songwriting partner as special as Peter, and I don't I'll ever have that chemistry again. You don't think you find that twice in a lifetime.
When a strong idea comes out of him in one go, I'm normally left just like adding literally one line. Like even like France or Narcissus, things like that, I just literally add a line or play a bit of guitar part. And he just pick up the guitar and or ba 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 ba, and it just comes out like that.
Have a salt beef and a cup of tea, please. Yeah.
Shake your hand, mate.
Oh,
I love your
always.
work.
Thanks, mate.
The early stuff, but I love your solo album.
Oh, cheers, man. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
My pleasure. Can we have egg mayonnaise?
Someone serving you?
Yeah, but there's more stuff to add.
No, is someone serving you?
Someone did take my order, yeah.
I'd stay with them, darling. Next one, please.
Friends for life. Here it is, in all its glory. There's a funny thing about this whole area. I mean, not so much Brick Lane, but Shoreditch itself. I mean, it was rough as arse back in the day, and I think about artists come out and they find the skanky area, and the community develops, and I guess that's how Shoreditch started. And I think at the very heart of that was the Foundry. Me and Pete used to have a night there called Arcadia at the Foundry, and it used to be just like random artists, but like proper artists used to like, have little happenings, and like, used to like, let off dynamite and stuff in the old bank vault downstairs, and just like drink absinthe and all that lot. I used to play the piano while the poetry was going on, but literally like this. It was all, you know, it's quite video as a black. We used to get free Guinness, and then it got commercial and became what it is now, which is like unrecognisable. Now they've evicted the people who sell the Foundry, so like they basically cut out their own heart. But it's just so typical. I mean, like responsible for this whole area and everything that happened. Yeah, and it's so unceremoniously just got surgically removed. Well, that's a shame.
There was kind of days when people didn't show up to the rehearsals. It was slightly kind of disconcerting, you know, that's just the way it goes.
The ideal girl in London from France came
What time did you get there?
2, and then we found out 4:30 that Pete was asleep. So shit, really.
The first like resurgence of, you know, my paranoid like hopeless state, which normally comes after 4 days up when I can't get to the rehearsal, you know. And back in the day, that would have been like that would have just gone on without me. But now it was different. It was like, oh, you can't make the rehearsal. Don't worry, we'll see you tomorrow. I can't tell you what kind of relief that was, you know?
It's quite simple. If Pete doesn't sleep, then Pete doesn't turn up. Or if he goes to bed, then all of these things which dogged our past in the last 10 years, all of these emotions and things that make people run off stage and things that make us think we're second-guessing each other, I learned that that goes away when you go to sleep. It's taken us a long time to realise why people go to bed.
We used to drink in Camden, the Dublin Castle and the Mixer. There was a guy down there called Scarborough Steve, and he said, John, you gotta meet these guys called Pete and Carl. I'm in a band with them. This was a very tall guy in the garden stroking my cat, and it was Pete. And he introduced himself, and then later Carl came down and we were just jamming with the guitars. I think that's kind of what sold it to them, was that Scarborough Steve had told them that I had loved guitars. I just wanted to play bass in a band, and these guys had some great songs, really good songs. Normally, when I join a band, you could sort of vacillate for months on end before you do anything. A couple of days after I met them, we played our first gig in a basement. And then Pete was like, okay, we're going to record. And I was like, wow, okay.
You put your love upon me, though I was but poor.
Bunny Pucci was she was our first manager. I mean, our first serious manager. She's the one who managed the Libertines in the old days when we'd play around little pubs and clubs and lug our amps on the 134. When Banny found us, we were these romantic, troubadour-esque, living totally hand-to-mouth. We were living in adventure, with a firm belief that with our passion and pretty melodies and song and conviction, then we'd be able to conquer and do what we did for our people.
Watch out for those foreign girls. They never seem to make much sense.
After a while, things just started to fall apart. Pete was always very flighty, and I was kind of flighty with him, really. The drummer and the bass player eventually just got sick of, you know, they'd found a gig, we didn't come, we found a gig, we said, be there now, and then we sort of split up. And Pete and I, obviously, what was the point of us splitting up? Then we realised that we weren't going to get by just singing sweet lullabies and meadows. We did have a lot of all the anger and everything, you know. That's like, personally, I tried to sort of hide that from the music we did. I just guess we realised that open the floodgates and say it how it is, really.
Now, in the beginning, Pete and Carl, they pulled me in really, really quickly. Those guys, I think, had gotten to a point where it was like, yeah, we need to really, really do this if we're going to do this at all. And if we are going to do this with me, Gary, then he needs to be involved as much as possible. I kept on, like, just overemphasizing the point, we need to get a bass player, we need to get a bass player. And I can't remember either one of them said, well, we could get John Dale bass player. And I said, just do it.
Banny, she kind of made it clear that, you know, there was kind of, it was a different band in many respects. That was the first kind of debut, really, as a new band.
let's just write a new list. Honestly, John, for like the most zen member of the band, then I'll start with most scraps. Evidently not, no. Mr. Lombard.
Gary Half-Job Powell. Got paper but no pen. Got penis but no balls.
So start off with your horror show.
So horror show.
Death on the Stairs.
Horror show. Yeah, it's kind of. I say it's 90%.
Let's get 100 today. Death on the Stairs. Okay. Don't Look Back.
Don't Look Back. We haven't done that. Did it once.
So.
Alright, Don't Look Back.
Well, make your mind up, John.
John, why are you putting the stats down? I've got no idea because we play them once or twice. We could play them again once afterwards,
there's no
and
point
it would be genius.
there's no point.
And then we could play them again afterwards, and it might be really,
Make your mind
really
up. What do you want to do? Just take it reverse yourself.
Relax.
What did you want to do beforehand? You're like, well, why make it this? Like, let's just play stuff, try new stuff. And now he's saying that we can't do this stuff, we don't know it yet. I don't understand your reaction.
Well, it just doesn't seem very Libertines, you know.
No one got it right, no one got it wrong. But outside your head, live inside a storm.
It all did happen pretty quickly. James Endicott was the guy that we wanted to pin down for a while, you know. Was waiting for him to return our calls and phoning Banny, see if there's any news. Because it really was, we really just did want to get signed to Rough Trade. That was what we called Plan A. Plan B was to sign to this little label called High Society, which was like a Hoxton sort of label. I don't think it had any bands in it, apart from the White Sport maybe. And Pete was really wanting to go with Plan B. And we set up this whole elaborate gig at the Rhythm Factory, which is a dance venue. Got everyone we could together and sort of forced the scene really, which it took. And so it became as real as any scene does. Fanny was very sweet about things in a memorable way. I remember she got, when we first got James Endicott to come and listen to the studio, she picked him up in a taxi and she had beer and crisps on the back seat as if this was like an industry standard thing to do, which I think might have perplexed him a little bit, but you know, that got his guard down and then it all works out. Then he came down to the studio to see us doing demos. And I think he thought we had some coke, but it was just mean speed. And he went home, and that night I think he had an epiphany whilst he was lying next to his wife sweating and wriggling around. And I think he went sleepless into the office the next day and said, "Guys, you've got to listen to this. I want to something." And then it started rolling from there, really.
Oh, you're a swine, but I like your style. I like the way the little walk and the summer in your smile. Oh, sorry.
Up to you.
You wanted yours up, John?
Yeah, it's fine actually.
Vertigo.
This time around there was a bit more of an open feeling, like trying to enjoy playing the music at the same time as trying to worry about what it was sounding like.
See the end there, make sure you've got everyone locked in there. Don't change until you get everyone's attention. You know you're going to change, because that's the whole point of coming in on that, is that we'll do it together.
Can you give us a shout as well, guys?
Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. Just me and John.
Trying to work out the riff to Campaign of Hate, I was really annoying myself. And then suddenly I felt really embarrassed in front of everyone, like thinking, what the fuck am I doing? And then John was kind of hinting at the fact that, well, maybe Carl should play the riff, and that really threw me.
So I'll do Pete's part then. Yeah, I'll do Pete's part.
Oh, what was it? I'm confused now.
You go,
Mama.
Oh, yeah.
Mama.
I'll know how to do it when we start playing, John, I promise you. Alright, just
I'll
for
do
you.
Pete's.
Okay, just for you.
1, 2, 4.
We start that one, John, it goes.
Oh yeah, oh shit, I missed out that bit, isn't it? Yeah. Then you go like this. It's quite important bit. And then it goes. No, it doesn't do that. It goes, instead of doing that when it goes to the G, it goes. And then it goes. So that bend. Yeah, on the 6th fret. And then it goes up, bend on the 10th fret. A bend on the 10th fret.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then what?
And then it goes back to the campaign.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So
just go from
go from
just go from the top then.
What?
Yeah.
I've not worked this out since you started rehearsals. Right.
What's up?
Go on then.
1, 2, 3, 4.
What you wrote, what you write when you swore that you'd swear to remember why you came. Not to play, follow the leader, no, pockets dressing like
Even Teesdale Street's gone up in oil. They knocked down all these flats that were here, and they built them. And those kids, they were babies. I think we lived in one of these ones. Oh, there she blows. Oh my God, that's my old stairs. Huh. Don't let someone in there. We're not. I remember when Pete first said, like, I found this place, and I thought, well, great. We went upstairs, and there was like one big room with a big brass bed. I was like, oh, whose bedroom is this going to be then? And then, I kind of like my privacy. There was a little cupboard, and that was my bedroom. But it had a door, and that's kind of that's all I needed really. Pete got in trouble, and like after I left, and everything got impounded and locked up, and because the place was fucked, it's just been burned out. It was disgraceful. The last time I was here, the toilet didn't work. You had to flush it with Evian. Yeah, there was no water. There was just shit everywhere. And it's those people I didn't know. It's very, very strange having a house and full of people you don't know. When we had our secret gigs here, God knows how we all found it. But
She's got the double vibe.
The double vibe. Kansas City.
Hey, smash it.
Stop it, John.
No.
John.
Stop it. Stop it.
John.
Stop it.
John.
so that makes you
John.
21 now.
John. Mr. Bootleg.
Oh, you got most A levels?
Huh?
Yeah.
Give it to the master.
Yeah, come on, A-level boy.
Okay. Way! That's how you get your power, boys.
I did all the work on that.
Hang on, that better not be in my fucking tea.
Not only did they bring something out of the music with their own style of performance, but they brought something out within themselves that made people want to gravitate to them, as I gravitated towards them in the beginning.
It's like in the middle of the riots, I think I'd just been clonked with a truncheon off. Pete was doing his hair in one of the guards' shields. Yeah, and then, then suddenly it was like midday. We had this appointment down a dive bar in Soho, in Chinatown, underneath the old King's Head. And we went down there for our first proper interview. I think that might have set the scene for us in a lot of ways. When you're being represented by a media, you learn pretty quickly that what you want to portray is 9 times out of 10 not what's going to come across. But in the first NME feature we did for that cover, it seemed like everything that I'd have wanted noted was, without making it obvious, was put down.
Just walking on the ladders as the people around you hear crying, please.
We were running on a very, very tight budget. We had one tour manager who was a sound engineer, who loaded in, who loaded out. In order for that person to do the job as succinctly as they possibly could do, they were running towards a schedule. Pete and Carl were just like, I don't give a damn about your schedule. I'm staying up all night long and there's not a damn thing you can do about it. Without Pete and Carl being the charming guys that they were at that point in time, it would have been much harder for them to gain the notoriety as quickly as they did.
It was always on the make in some way. I don't know what it was, but we were fame hungry, definitely. That's what we wanted, and that drove us.
It's kind of the accepting things on the strength of notoriety. I guess it's like being the owner of a vaguely famous face. It does have its moments, I suppose.
Was I the most famous in the Libertines? I think, well, I was definitely I became the most warped by the lack of power we ended up having when we got, catapulted into public consciousness.
I just wasn't able.
Yeah, I was a mess really when it came to fame.
There was a funny switch in the Albion rooms when I used to get really wrecked and I used to want to go out every night. I just loved to drink. And we just discovered Charlie and we just had a load of money, so we had an endless source of that, and I'd go out and I'd go and find all the sort of movers and shakers, for want of a better word. That's when I remember one night I brought the Cooper Temple claws home. I wanted to show off what we had, and I was proud of Pete. I love Pete. I wanted to show him off as well. And he was really annoyed. I brought people back. He said, what, we should just be at home writing songs. But I kind of felt I betrayed him a bit.
Pete was kind of frustrated that not enough people were kind of really taking responsibility for the band. And he was out on his own, really, in many respects. And I think it's frustrating for him, and I think he probably felt kind of isolated by that.
It wasn't long after that then the drug thing started to really hit. The smack and the crack thing and that way of life. And sort of, there's very little to romanticise about those drugs for me, but, I guess there is something. And he started to take that path. And I just kind of thought, well, shouldn't we be here writing songs without all these fucking ghoulish people? It always felt like a sort of rent an audience. People just find different things. And, addictions are ways of life, aren't they? It takes years before you realise they are addictions, if you ever do, if indeed they are. But, not only did I not want to do those things, and I just didn't like him. I tried. I tried to do it to be closer to Peter on numerous occasions.
I always said that to him all along about everything, even about drugs. I said all he has to do is say, you know, pack it in, and I would. He never actually bothered to say that. He just didn't talk to me.
And I think he found a new love and a new light and a new adventure in that life and those people, and he was probably very heartbroken that I didn't want to join him. I said even then, I never made any secret of it, you know, especially with heroin. It's not an adventure, it's not exciting, because it's a story that's already been written 1,000 times. It's fucking boring. It's like, it's got two endings. One is a lifelong dull as fuck battle, where you're going to end up the shell of a man, and the other one is just a really shit, untimely, selfish death. And that's a pretty hard thing to point out, you know, when especially when you're off your face on coke. It's not, you know, it doesn't help. But yeah.
You're impossible, and it's just like he's in another world. He doesn't see the danger on show. That will wind the blood jokes and bloody in the hole. It's just like she's in another world. You know the suit each other, no. She never gave clothes.
We'd made everything just perfect. Everything just was, in my mind, you know, we were rolling, and he just wanted to sack John and Gary before a gig, and it just made no sense, really.
I never wanted to be fired, but if it was going to happen, when I kind of knew why, I kind of figured that out, and there wasn't any point in me getting pissed off, because that was the bed that I put myself into.
I don't feel like I was kind of blameless for what happened, you know. There was always that kind of division between, you know, in a way, between the four of us. And obviously it didn't feel very good.
Time moves on. I mean, there was a reason that happened at the point in time, whereas now, obviously, you know, we've moved on.
Hello? Operator. Well, no, I thought we were going to put those 3 tickets, some of the skippity ones together. Also, we're going to have 2 completely different sets, aren't we, for the forum and for the festivals?
Not necessarily.
Well, yeah, necessarily. It's the forum, there's no curfew, there's no set amount of time. We can play the
but it's a warm-up for the festival, isn't it? So
no, it's not. It's not a warm-up for the festival.
I'll tell you what we could do. We could write them out, all the songs, pick all the songs that we're doing, write them out and put them on the floor, jumble them about.
If you get 2 the same, then you get another go.
Like Tazos.
Okay. Yeah, we can do it like whatever song sounds most similar, that counts as a double. Like, Vertigo sounds quite similar to Horror Show. Yeah, that would count as a double.
So which one did you miss out of the bracket?
This is a fucking waste of time, isn't it?
No, it was not. I think we should keep them both.
No,
because it might not work.
To bed. I'm going to go for 1 pint. Celebrate Dave's good work. Really quickly not fancy it, you know. Come on, pint.
Is it not cool to wear a seatbelt?
It's very trendy, is it?
Not very trendy to lose your life in this bedroom.
It's very trendy. Well, are you saying Hendrix, Cobain, Morrison? Are you saying that Joplin? Are you saying anyone cool?
How far can you turn off, mate?
Just drop it off on the way at Patchell. You know, like, Libertines is like a big powder keg with a very short fuse. It's all a bit fraught and manic. It was a pig man who once said, the blood from broken hearts writes the word to every song. And yeah, that's the trouble, isn't it? It's just not that easy. Otherwise we just do loads of them. I remember it was my birthday and Pete had a gig at Gunter Grove or something, and I said I'd go, but my friends had arranged me fucking karaoke in Soho. Pete just wouldn't understand. He was on his own manic path. That was all the crack and the smack and the drongos that hung around it, and it was becoming something different. That's when it started becoming all different factions, different camps, and it started getting a bit grotesque. And that was the first occasion when I just said, you know what, I'm not going. Arcadia for me isn't pissing all over someone else's fucking dreams and will. It's about something that's shared, about something that's beautiful, and you know, for whatever reason, I don't think Pete was coming from a place that served Albion and the Arcadian dream. Yeah, it was very hard, and I had to find some reserves of bravery to be able to get my own way.
They booted me out of the band and carried on without me. Yeah, I don't understand how in the first place I can get kicked out of my own band. I don't understand how that worked. I don't understand how, what the fuck?
When Peter was going crazy and constantly, and everyone was worried, and of course it was so difficult to hold together. When people finally looked to me and said, well, what about you? This is actually tearing you apart and breaking your heart. And when people said that, I was relieved and I felt comforted, because I felt so alone out there. And but maybe I wouldn't have done it without the strength of other people giving me some support.
I was distraught. I tried to carve, I got that Libertine, it doesn't look so bad, and I tried to carve out, you know, that little scar there that opened right up so you couldn't actually see anything but the L and the E. That was when I just literally turned on the telly and they were doing like Don't Look Back Into the Sun on top of the Pops. What fucking hell.
Retrospectively, I wouldn't have done anything differently because I always acted as true to who I was. And, you know, I was just thinking, is that a defence mechanism? No, I don't think it is. I wouldn't change anything. That's a journey. That's what was supposed to happen.
No, did you take the jeans downstairs, mate?
I took your bag. There were some jeans in there. Blue jeans.
That's right, don't worry, it's just my belt's in there. Right, we better get going. I just lit it on the staircase.
You what?
I lit it on the staircase.
Mal, can you do some Guesters favours? Yep. Can you make sure my sister's got +4?
Lucy?
Yeah.
For tonight, yeah?
Yeah. How are you doing? Good, good. I was just checking your names for tonight, actually. Loz, Butty, Hussey, L-O-Z, Hussey, Samira, and Samira, Cherry. Are you reading out your little black book? I just wanted to know if you want to come and see the Libertines tonight. A Kentish Town Forum. Kentish Town Forum. I'll send you a text right away. Okay, wicked. All right, cheers. See ya. Thank you. Bye. Bye.
Who's that?
My doctor. Hi, Kelly. Yeah, not bad. How are you going? Yeah. I'm just doing a panic Guesters check now because I've neglected to do that. But I'll see you tomorrow, all right? Take care. See you. Cheers. Bye. Right. Have I been rehearsing a lot? Let's have that chat right now. Oh, it's a bit nerve-wracking all this.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
I'm Mario.
Yeah. Good to see you.
Good. How are you?
Yeah, well, did you get his as quick as possible? Can I nip to,
There was so little preparation going into it. I had to work even harder to make sure that I was really mentally prepared. I close myself down and I think about the music. And then I put myself in the zone of being in the band with the guys.
We do, in many ways, complete each other, which is you can't say about a lot of people. It comes at a price, but when it happens, it's just purer than anything else. When we got up on stage, just to rehearse, it was like nothing else. It was like we hadn't dropped a beat.
people always say, do you get nerves? And I say, no, I don't get nerves. I felt really lucky that I was just going to play my guitar and play these songs with Carl and John and Gary. I felt really blessed. I felt really lucky.
One of the really great things about doing these concerts was that actually it was kind of an opportunity to revisit the band and kind of try and create something with a better ending for it.
Oh God, I just made me stop you. Sorry about that.
G A. Is it? Oh, what is it? Oh, it's. I think it's E A C sharp. I know. B A A.
No, we've got some inners out.
Look, with the paddle.
He's still not here.
Oh, hey,
what's going on?
Hello, mate. Where you been all my life?
Where you been?
I'm looking for you.
Looking for you.
Oh! So just quickly, when we come out of the
Next weekend, the boys have got 170,000 people to play in front of. So tonight, for you, the Libertines are going to play. They're on in 10 minutes, and we challenge you to make as much noise as Reading and Leeds will, okay?
it. I didn't think you could do it, and they fucking blew my mind.
The Libertines tonight was orgasmic, it was seismic, it was cataclysmic.
It was just like fucking a spark in your eye, a fucking grinding of the teeth, and a fucking spit, and a fucking come on. It was like that, come on.
Someone's like Libertines with a sort of knob hearts. How about that then, eh? There's a bit of a little Libertines alley. I mean, you know, it's not Abbey Road, but that's a grumble. It's just pretty fucking far out, I've got to say. What does that say? What became of Forever? Your guess is as good as mine. I wasn't expecting this, though, that's for sure. It's kind of beautiful, really. I might die a bit happier. I might have to kill Tone first. There you go, eh? This is fucking mental. There you go, it was 112, eh? I told you. It has kind of knocked me sideways a bit, seeing all this. Like. Yeah, I mean, it just reminds me that it means a lot to a lot of people. How do you go forth to all of that? I knew a simple soldier boy who grinned through life in empty joy, slept soundly through the lonesome dark, and whistled early with the lark. From winter trenches cowed and glum, with crumps and lice and lack of rum, he put a bullet through his brain, and no one spoke of him again. You smug-faced crowds with kindling eye who cheer when soldier boys march by. Sneak home and pray you'll never know the hell where youth and laughter go. Well, that was Wilfred Owen and Secrets of Soon, but hey, just to bring that back and have it on a wall in East London is that's quite moving. And fucking, of course.
All across Africa, China, Australia, I will call you down in New Mexico, New Brighton, and Tokyo, I will call. If call we must do to take my
It was almost like a big industry con, the whole thing. It was like, right, getting back together and everyone's happy, like fucking tour bus company can have like 4 tour buses and 1 for the crew, that's 5. 5 tour buses, someone's made a mint there. Don't know who did the merchandise, but someone made a mint there. Who was the agent? Don't know who that was. Didn't need them. Didn't have to advertise the fucking gigs, they could have sold out anyway. I could have sold out those gigs myself with a mobile phone. It back, fucking everyone's gonna do well out of it.
I'm going to go to now walk up to the stage. So.
Alright, good luck.
Thanks. Cue well wishes.
Knock 'em dead.
John, good luck. Cheers. Good luck, mate.
Cheers, man.
Come on.
Cheers. Cool, mate.
Join. Nice man. Good luck, guys. See you up there. Have a fucking brilliant one.
Shit, I need to piss again.
I know Carl cares deeply, really, about what we achieved, and I think he really believes he cares a lot about me. But you know, it takes this huge mechanism to kick in before there's any like talking in the pub or rehearsing or communication. You know.
It's impossible to hang out with Pete. Pete's a Pied Piper, you know. He can be entertaining and wonderful and beautiful and inspiring, and take people with him. If our journey's together, then we need to go together. We need to be side by side. Just the exhaustion of the not knowing, of the unpredictability. As much as I do love it, and as much as it makes me feel alive, I just wish it could be easier.
It's not like that with most of the people I've been in bands with. With Carl it is, and you know, I don't know why. He doesn't trust me, and he hasn't trusted me for a long time. And as far as I can tell, it's too late to do anything about it.
I opted out of dying at 27 for a reason, really. I think not to accept that is just going to cause disaster. get along. I get along. And when I do what I get along. Thank you.
We're in a period of time right now where music is disposable. There's no way we can rely on playing begging forever. It just won't wash. People will get really, really bored of it. And then that will be the end of the name Libertines. But we have to look at who we are, look at where we came from in order to figure out exactly where we're going.
I don't feel like a kind of a jilted lover, the fact that he doesn't want to spend time and write songs, because he never did. I'd be very conscious of wanting to give him something that they'd be inspired by or want to contribute to, you know? It's almost like I've never written a song with him before, to be honest. You know, the person he is now. I think a lot of it really just boils down to Carl. Me and Gary and John are quite pliable, quite easily manipulated, like, you know, and we're up for, I think we're pretty much up for doing anything, any time as the Libertines now. It's really down to Carl.
I'd like to write again, and I'd like to write fresh as well. I don't want to be playing old things and rehashing things. I don't think that, I don't think I'd feel complete as a person to not at least attempt to make another record with Peter. But the time has to be right, you know, like it was right for these gigs, like I have to know, it has to feel right. Yeah, I'd love to do that. It hurts me that I just can't do it, that it's just not that easy.
Cheers, everyone!
The Libertines reunion for me was a chance to be back with heroes. They pulled something out of me and changed who I am as an individual in the same breath.
I think the greatest achievement was we managed to overcome our differences for these shows, and that we can be friends again after all this shit. I think that's a great achievement.
The unfinished business was, in a way, obviously, it's not being overly optimistic about everything, the way I'm talking now, but I think really I'm underplaying like how important it was to me, like those gigs, and how amazing it was, because it was. You know, it doesn't really matter what anyone else thinks, because you know, I could see he was genuinely enjoying it. It was really important for me to feel like that he could just be happy to be in a band with me. And like,
when we're on stage, at that moment, it's so hard to find and so hard to reach. It just comes out and eclipses everything and just spreads. That's the happiness I had in the Libertines. Nothing like it. It's pure as a driven snow and rare.
You're the only lover I had who ever slept with a knife. But you're not Judy Garland, oh, just like me. You've never really had a home of your own. But I'm not Tony Cock, baby. Until the dawn, we stole the crows. We stole the crows. We stole the crows. And you see, I brought you flowers, all collected from the old big stage. Well, I've been sitting here for hours, babe, just chasing these words across the page. 'Cause you're my Waterloo. Well, I'll be your gypsy lane. But I'm so glad we know just what to do and exactly who's to blame. And you're my Waterloo. I'll be your Stanley Park. Well, I'm so glad we know just what to do, and no one's left stumbling around, fumbling around, tumbling around in the dark. Always in the dark. You're my Waterloo. I'll be your Calvary. Well, I'm so glad we know just what to do, and everyone's gonna be happy. Well, everyone's gonna be happy. Everyone's gonna be happy, but of course.
Never fumigate the demons. Oh shit. Never fumigate the demons. Oh, for fuck's sake. No matter how much you smoke. Say you love me for 3 good reasons. I'll throw you the rope. You don't need it, 'cause you are the survivor of more than one life. You're the only lover I have. Hang it.
You did well there, Carlos, considering that's quite an oldie.
Well, you know. do something different now?